Hi everyone, I am Heather, and I want to welcome you to Magnificent Authors Podcast, brought to you by Magnificent Mamas. This is the show where we'll celebrate the magic of storytelling and the power of words. I'm your host, Heather, and each week I'll be sitting down with incredible authors from all walks of life to explore their creative journeys, uncover their writing secrets, and delve into worlds they create. Whether you are an aspiring writer, a passionate reader, or simply curious about the minds behind your favorite books, this is the podcast for you. So grab a cozy blanket, pour yourself a cup of tea, and get ready to be inspired by the magnificent authors who join us. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, I am Heather with Magnificent Mamas and Magnificent Authors Podcast. We're joined here today with author Kim Kordov. Is that right?
Kordov, yeah.
Kordov, sorry.
That's okay.
Kim, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name is Kim. I'm a mom and recently published my first children's book, which was based on being a mom. So I'm really happy to be here in my non-mom life. I work at a university up in Edmonton, Canada, where I am from, in research. So that's also lots of fun for me.
Nice. That does sound fun actually to me, but maybe that's just the part of me that loves researching stuff. So
excellent. Yep.
Do you want to tell us a little about your debut book?
Sure. So the story, it is an interesting story, and I kind of did put it in the author bio. It's based on a real story of one time when I just the book is called The Tale of the Toy Troll, and it's about a troll that takes your toys if you don't clean them up. So it's based on kind of an actual event when my children, I told them if they didn't clean up, the troll was going to take their toys, and they didn't listen, and they were really into dominoes. And I don't know if you had children that played with dominoes, but they're all over the place, right? So it was like there was a domino explosion in my basement. So I packed everything up in their bags, hid it, and left a note on the floor. And the reaction that my kids had, it was so funny. My one son, who was 7, got so mad, and his response was, we need to write to him and give him a deadline. And my mom and I looked at each other, and we were trying so hard not to laugh. And I was like, you can't give him a deadline, son. You have to apologize and tell him you'll do better. And so anyways, it was just so funny. I said at some point, I have to write a story about this because it's so funny. And I wrote one day in my notes app on my iPhone, the 4-line verse that goes, he takes your stuff, he takes your toys, he takes from little girls and boys, he takes what you don't put away, he takes it all so he can play. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. So I wrote it down in 2014. And as my iPhone went from iPhone 10 to 11 to 12, it just kept forwarding in the notes app. Yeah. And one day my sister-in-law said, when are you going to write that book? And I was at the gym texting her when she said that. And I sat down at the gym and I just started to write it. And that's kind of how the book became.
That's awesome, though. I mean, that is very cool. So when did you publish?
So that was in November of 2022. And then we kind of started looking around to figure out how to publish. My sister-in-law that I was talking to, her husband, my husband's brother, had actually self-published a book. So I didn't think I could go for full self-publishing because I do have a busy job, and I just didn't think I could invest that much in understanding everything myself. So I went with a company based in Canada that helps authors self-publish called Tellwell, and connected with them. It took a while to decide to sign, but I think we signed in March or April, and then the process kind of went from there. And in January, the book was actually out on Amazon. So
that's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
You want to tell us a little about your debut book?
Sure. So the story, it is an interesting story, and I kind of did put it in the author bio. It's based on a real story of one time when I just the book is called The Tale of the Toy Troll, and it's about a troll that takes your toys if you don't clean them up. So it's based on kind of an actual event when my children, I told them if they didn't clean up, the troll was going to take their toys, and they didn't listen. And they were really into dominoes. And I don't know if you had children that played with dominoes, but they're all over the place, right? So it was like there was a domino explosion in my basement. So I packed everything up in their bags, hid it, and left a note on the floor. And the reaction that my kids had, it was so funny. My one son, who was 7, got so mad, and his response was, we need to write to him and give him a deadline. And my mom and I looked at each other, and we were trying so hard not to laugh. And I was like, you can't give him a deadline, son. You have to apologize and tell him you'll do better. And so anyways, it was just so funny. I said at some point, I have to write a story about this because it's so funny. And I wrote one day in my notes app on my iPhone, the 4-line verse that goes, he takes your stuff, he takes your toys, he takes from little girls and boys, he takes what you don't put away, he takes it all so he can play. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. So I wrote it down in 2014. And as my iPhone went from iPhone 10 to 11 to 12, it just kept forwarding in the notes app. Yeah. And one day my sister-in-law said, when are you going to write that book? And I was at the gym texting her when she said that. And I sat down at the gym and I just started to write it. And that's kind of how the book became.
That's awesome, though. I mean, that is very cool. So when did you publish?
So that was in November of 2022. And then we kind of started looking around to figure out how to publish. My sister-in-law that I was talking to, her husband, my husband's brother, had actually self-published a book. So I didn't think I could go for full self-publishing because I do have a busy job, and I just didn't think I could invest that much in understanding everything myself. So I went with a company based in Canada that helps authors self-publish called Tellwell, and connected with them. It took a while to decide to sign, but I think we signed in March or April, and then the process kind of went from there. And in January, the book was actually out on Amazon. So
that's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Nico, edit this part out. Thank you. My editor, he'll go through and edit my videos. And so I just holler at him like, hey, edit this. I was clearing my throat. Sorry.
Perfect.
So what do your children think of the book? I mean, obviously it's about, a similar situation.
Well, it is about them because I put their names actually in the book. Okay. So it was interesting because they're very proud of me. They are currently 20, turning 21 and just turned 18. So they're a little older than when this happened, when they were 7 and 5. They're really proud of me. But at one point, my eldest said, Mom, please stop reading that book to us because it was actually a traumatic event.
Oh.
So they remember how awful it was. The note just basically said, thanks so much for leaving your toys out. I love dominoes, so I've taken them. And so they're really proud. They think it's really cool. The illustrator, when I was working with the illustrator to write the book, I sent pictures of the kids, the actual age that they were, and she tried to recreate their likeness. And you commented on my bun. I said the mom has to have a bun because I wear my hair in a bun all the time. She made the mom with a bun, and I love buns. So anyways, they love it. They are very excited that I did it. And they still have a little bit of trauma, I guess.
Oh, well, did they pick up their toys after that?
They did, actually. They did for a while. And then we had to keep reminding them, do you want the troll to come again? And they did a good job. And, I had a friend that I shared my manuscript with, and the troll visited him. Even before the whole book came out, the troll visited him and took his toys away, and she sent me videos along the way. And she said for him too, it really did make a difference. It's been interesting as people have read it and shared their stories with me to hear the reaction of the kids when they hear about this troll. I read this story to my son's elementary school during read-in week. The I connected with one of their former elementary school teachers, and she had me in to read. And the kids had so much fun imagining, how did the troll take the toys from their house, and where is his den, and one kid was going to put like some kind of tracker in a specific toy, and then when the troll took it, he was going to have it on his iPhone and find a way to find it. And I think that's been one of the most rewarding things for me in writing the book, is just seeing and hearing about the reaction of kids when they read it and where their imagination takes them.
Definitely. It sounds like a fun book, but also, hey, you need to pick up your toys. Look what's going to happen if you don't.
Absolutely. And then the book, we decided to put an email address when the kids are writing their note to the troll. There's an email address on the page. And both of my kids are computer guys. So the one set me up actually an email, got that domain. So if a kid has their toys taken away and sends an email to that email address, the troll will write back to them. So I haven't had any troll mail, but I'm waiting.
That's exciting, though. That's so cool. That is awesome. Do you plan to write any more books?
I don't know. I feel like people ask me that too. As soon as this one was published, like, where's book number 2? And I think it's a character that could live on in subsequent books. But the magic of this story for me was like that it actually happened. And I wrote the whole line about giving him a deadline. I actually put that in the book. So I don't know if I could be as funny as my kids were in real life. So I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. You never know.
Maybe. In a perfect world, the toy troll would be as iconic as the elf on a shelf at getting kids to kind of be good before Christmas. And the toy troll could get them to be good and clean their toys up all the time. So
definitely. I love that idea. That is so cool and unique. It's not just clean up your toys, or Santa's not going to bring you any presents, or clean up your toys, or this is going to happen. Oh, hey, look, the troll's taking your toys because you didn't clean them up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you enjoy to read personally?
Well, that's a great question, because this becoming an author, I guess I'm an author, and and getting into the world of authors has made me realize that I probably don't read as much as I should. Sometimes I have a book, it was a Jimmy Fallon summer read from probably 4 years ago, and I have never finished it. So I like to read, but the way that I read is more, I do audiobooks and I listen to them when I'm in the car, and and actually have really enjoyed. COVID put a bit of a crimp in that because I wasn't traveling to and from work anymore. But and then it took us a while to get back to in-person office hours. So what do I like to read? I'm all about like mysteries and murders. Even on television, my husband says, "You want to watch a comedy?" And I'm like, "Nope, let's go for the detective books and the murder books."
Nice. So, yeah. I definitely read a wide variety of books, so I totally understand that. Give me some mystery, give me some horror, give me some fantasy, whatever. There's not very many genres that I don't like to read.
I agree. And I do love books that come in like that are series. I tend to gravitate towards books where the characters are recurring. So I know them, and you could start at the beginning. And actually, my husband, we were just at our local Edmonton bookstore it was Independent Bookstore Day yesterday. Yes. So they had a big event and they had local authors there. And he said something about, someone could tell him why books are better than TV shows. Maybe he would start to read. And I said, well, number one, books last longer. They do, right? Like a show, you watch it 1 hour, it's over. Like you can lose yourself in a book. And I remember if it's a good book, at the very end, you're just like, oh, I'm really sad that's over.
Yes.
So great. So
I hate that feeling though. Like, oh my gosh. That feeling's the worst. Like, that's awesome. I finished the book, but if that's the end and there's no more, it's like, but I got to know more.
Yeah.
There's more to the story.
There's more to the story. I agree. So it takes longer. So we decided yesterday when we were at the bookstore that he might try and dip his toes into some kind of young adult genre because it might be a little easier to read for him. So
I got my husband into reading books, and I think he's read like the Lord of the Rings books, and he's working through the Harry Potter books right now. And I'm calling that a win, because for somebody who's not into reading,
yep,
that's a win for me.
that is a win.
My daughter, she's 15 and I homeschool her, and she's doing a lot of audiobooks.
I do love audiobooks. Like it does make you focus, which is something that we don't do very well, right? These days. I mean, reading and listening to books makes you focus.
Definitely.
Yeah. You might suggest the next series for your husband could be those Percy Jackson books, because
oh yeah, he read one of those, two of those, but there's a bunch. And the author, he wrote a ton of books, like different series.
Yes.
That all kind of tied together.
Yeah.
I know my husband loves like Greek mythology and stuff. So those books were like perfect. I forgot about that he read the first two, but he didn't read anymore. I'm going to have to remind him about that he never read the series.
The Heroes of Olympus, where you get more than just Percy and his friends. Actually, I really liked those ones too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know there was one series I was reading a while back that had to do with Greek mythology, and it was so good, but now for the life of me, I can't think of what it was.
See, that's what happens. I was nervous when you asked me what I read. If you were going to ask me the names of books, because I too, while I enjoy all of them, I couldn't tell you their name or the author's name, unfortunately, because it just goes out of my head.
Oh, yeah. I can remember like recent books that I read, some of the authors, if their names are easy to pronounce.
Yeah.
But otherwise, some of them, it's like, who was it again?
Yeah.
I know, like, the most recent horror book I read was Timothy King's 7 Rabbits. And so it's a really easy name to remember. And the title is really simple. But if it was like a different title or a different name, I don't think it would be as easy to remember.
Well, maybe I'll grab that one and make Tamir read that, because I feel like he likes that kind of genre. So maybe he can get into that. Is it an easy-ish read?
Yes.
Okay.
I read it within a day.
Okay.
And that's not, like, I'm not talking about like the all-day read. I'm talking about from like, it probably took me maybe 8 hours or roughly in a 24-hour time period. Like, I read half of it one night and the next half of it the next night. But it's definitely easy. It's good. You see both sides you see the killer's side of you, and then you see the victims, and I totally get why the killers did what they did. And if you read it, you will understand why I say what I say.
Okay. I will. Now I have to read it.
Yeah, I don't want to give spoilers away. I want everyone to go out and check all these awesome authors out. So won't give spoilers away, but you'll understand why. You would understand, especially you as a parent, would understand why the killers did what they did.
Okay.
That's all I can say. I feel like I'm giving away too much with that comment. So, if you were writing another book and you had to write it in a different genre, what would it be?
I think I'd probably try and write for young adult as well. I think it's a great. I do love children's books, because the time that I got to spend reading with my kids was like very special, and we have lots of memories around that. But for myself as a reader, I think young adult's a great category because it's a little bit easier. You can pick something up. I love that a lot of young adults are series, so I think that's where I would go. And I think it's a neat way. I think I love the idea that you're getting teens, that you have an opportunity to influence teens into keeping them be readers, because it's a little bit of a, I don't think it's a lost art, but I mean, it's certainly, with all the tech that's out there, it's not the same as when I was young.
Yeah, when I was younger, like, it'd be nothing for me to read a chapter book a day, you know, every day I was reading something new. And now it's like these kids are like, oh, I'm going to play on my computer, or I'm going to play on my tablet or game system, or watch TV, or, you know, not do stuff that we did growing up.
I agree. One of my best friends tells me that when summer holidays came, her dad actually removed the television from their home. Even though, like, and they didn't even have like a big cable package, again, not like today, but he would take the TV and he would put it in a place that they couldn't get to it. And they had to either go outside or go to the library and read. That was their options for the summer. And she said she read a lot of books. She loved reading, and, you know, thinks that has something to do with it. So, yeah.
I agree. I think, you know, that's one reason why I try to promote literacy and help promote authors, because I think, for one, the younger generation needs to see that there's still so many books out there that are amazing that they would enjoy. But also at the same time, I love like my self-published and my indie authors and like new authors. I think a lot of times they don't get the what's the word? Like the attention they deserve, maybe, because so many people just go for the big names that they already know without thinking about, hey, this author's, you know, a new author, but, you know, everyone says they're really good, but I'm just going to stick with somebody I know.
Yeah. Also, I think too, and this is, I'm not trying to be negative, but it's as a self-published author and indie author, and then you see a lot of celebrities throwing children's books out, kind of following, and like Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, and don't get me wrong, I love their books. But yes, I do appreciate what you do, because as an unknown person in a self-published world, it is hard to kind of get, there's lots of books out there, so it's hard to get your
There's
books.
So many. It's been so cool though, because like every time I'm talking to a new author, I'm like, oh, hey, your book sounds great, I need to check it out. So it's really funny, and it's a really good experience though, to be able to learn about books that I probably wouldn't have heard of before. I know my list to be read is constantly growing. And I know a lot of people say that, but I feel like every day there's like 5 or 10 more books added to the list that I want to read. So,
well, if you can find a copy of mine, it'll take 5 minutes.
Well, that's a plus.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Magnificent Authors Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to share another inspiring conversation with a talented author. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Magnificent Authors Podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming conversations with amazing writers. And be sure to check out Magnificent Mamas on our website, which is www.magnificentmamas.us, or on our Facebook page for more inspiring content from incredible authors. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. What resonated with you the most? Head over to Facebook or leave a comment on our website and let me know. Until next time, keep reading, keep writing, and keep those imaginations soaring.